From the heart of Hawkeye Nation comes the show that dissects the plays, debates the calls, and celebrates the victories. This isn't just a podcast. This is your unfiltered access to the mind of two diehard fans. They live and breathe black and gold, and they're here to give you the honest, raw takes you won't find anywhere else. Get ready for deep dive analysis, passionate debate, and a unique perspective.
Welcome back, Hawkeye sports fans, to another episode of Punting is Winning, the All Iowa podcast. We are your hosts, Keith and JD. Welcome to the post-NCAA tournament edition of the podcast. Iowa wrapping up their season last night in the Elite Eight. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's get started with the question of the week. Last episode, I shouldn't say last week, since we kind of waited to see how things were going to play out with some of these games. That question was, who or how far do you think the men's and women's team would go in the NCAA tournament? Or maybe it was who we thought would go further. And I think everybody would have said the girls at that point.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. So
no.
Nobody actually answered the question. Probably one of those that I think you're just people are a little just too excited about the whole March Madness and maybe didn't even think to respond back to those questions or not. So we'll go ahead and go into the new question of the week.
Yeah, new question of the week is, which is more shocking, the men making the Elite Eight or the women getting beat in the round of 32 by a 10 seed at home?
More shocking.
More shocking.
To me, it's the girls getting beat.
I'd lean that way for a while. If the men would have gotten beat in the Sweet 16, I would have went that route. But since they won, they beat Nebraska and got to the Elite Eight, I'm going to go with that. So I don't
find beating Nebraska that shocking.
It's not. It's getting to the Elite Eight, that is, though. I mean, the last time Iowa made the Elite Eight was 1987. That's a long time ago. A lot of people that listen to this probably weren't even alive in 87. So there you go.
Well, I certainly was.
I was too, and I remember every bit of it.
Yep. All right. Well, there's the question of the week for next time. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that disappointment. In my opinion, the more disappointing more shocking, the girls getting beat. Let's just go over that real quick.
Okay. Well, you kind of hope that when they lost by 51 to UCLA in the championship game of the Big Ten, that they would shake that and kind of, just a blip on the radar. We're fine. Keep things normal. We'll just continue on as normal. Just let it go. Flush it. Then they come out against Fairleigh Dickinson. You got to give credit to Fairleigh Dickinson. They had a good game plan. They played good defense. I thought Iowa missed a lot of open shots. They were not shooting well, and they were able to survive that game. And I thought, well, now that they've survived, they got the jitters out. They'll be able to play. Virginia beat Georgia in overtime, kind of a 10 over a 7 seed. You kind of thought, well, things are looking good for Iowa. They got to play a 10 seed. And they go out and they do exactly the same thing that they did against Fairleigh Dickinson. They didn't shoot well. They shot poorly from the free throw line. I mean, one free throw more would have won the game. They had opportunities at the end of regulation, at the end of the first overtime to win the game, and neither shot went down. And the shot in overtime by Taylor Stremlow from the 3-point line was in and out, and it was very, very close. So, you could be talking about Iowa going to the Sweet 16. However, that shot did not go in, and they ran out of gas. Ava Hyden fouled out. Things just kind of went downhill from there. Virginia took full advantage of the opportunity given to them, and they went through and won the game in double overtime. And that was a hard pill for a lot of Iowa fans, women's fans, to take, being at home against a double-digit seed, being a 2 seed. It's a disappointment for sure. I've had almost a week now to digest this. Hugely disappointed. I thought that they had the opportunity to go to the Sweet 16 for sure, and maybe even the Elite 8 or even the Final Four again, depending on how things fell. But they They either got tired at the end of the season. They just hit a bad shooting streak at the end. I don't know what the actual issue is. But they're going to have to figure some things out in the off season. And I think Jan's going to have to take the opportunity to bring in some transfers. I know Wilichko and somebody else is coming in after that. Maybe even, I don't know what to say other than, it was a great season, but a disappointing ending for sure. And I don't know if you can say a whole lot more than that, because that's really basically it in a nutshell. Is you were above expectations going through the season, and then when you got to the tournament, you kind of let people down a little bit. Not their fault, obviously. They wanted to win just as much as anybody did, probably more so. But not a good time to start shooting the ball well. Not very well, to shoot it poorly. So well, I don't know.
The biggest problem with them is it was Ava Hayden or the 3-point shot. There was no in between. And that's not going to win you a ton of ball games. I mean, it did, because Ava Hayden was so good, and you'd have maybe a complimentary player, here and there that would have a decent game outside of shooting the three. Maybe Journey Houston would chip in 8 to 10. I kind of felt Hannah was kind of very disappointing most of this year. I don't know, maybe she's playing hurt, and that's not fair to say that she was a disappointment, but I think she missed a lot of layups that should have gone in. She missed a lot of free throws that she probably didn't normally miss earlier in the season. And, it came back to bite them. When the 3-point shot is not falling, you got to have something other than Ava Hayden to get you through until your shots start falling again. And they didn't have it. They need somebody. This is where Lucy Olson would have been a great person to have on this team. But, she was phenomenal in the mid-range. And she could tell you that, hey, our 3-point shot's not falling. I'll just take it in 2-3 dribbles and hit from 15. They don't have anybody that can do that. That's what you need to find.
That is exactly where they missed the opportunity with Hannah. She should have been, instead of practicing a bunch, you kept hearing through the off season last fall or last summer, shooting three. Well, that's not her game. That is absolutely not her game. Her game really needs to be that 8 to 10, maybe even a 12-foot jump shot from the corner of the free throw line, or right next to the free throw line in the corner of the lane. And that's her shot. That should have been something that she should have went over and over and over and over again, to almost to the nauseum. I mean, to the point of being, I can't do this anymore. That's where she needed to be. And that's not where they were. And they missed that opportunity for her. And that's going to bite her later when she goes on to play professionally, if it's in Europe or if it's in the WNBA, because everybody's going to say she's a one-trick pony. If you can't get her around the basket, if you can push her away from the basket, it nullifies her completely.
And when you get into that level, there's a lot of 6'2" players and bigger.
Oh,
she's not going to have a size advantage. She's not going to have, she's not going to out athleticize them. It's, she needed to work on other things. That 3-point shot is great if you're a guard,
right?
Possibly, you're a stretch three, small forward. If you're a power forward and you're a center in the Big Ten or on the women's side, you better work on the mid range and the low post block.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. And I think that's where the opportunity for her to advance her game really was lost. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm just a casual observer, but to me, she was going to have any shot she wanted from about 10 to 12. All she had to do is catch the ball, turn and shoot. Journey Houston.
Ton of times that she was wide open at the free throw line.
Exactly. And all she had to do was turn and pop. If she had that in her repertoire, she would have been, probably a 17 to 18 point a game player. No question. Instead of a 12 or 13 at the most, with an occasional 20 on a good night.
I'm gonna make an observation, and I don't know, maybe people will tell me I'm crazy. I think Hannah Stuelke got broken. And I think how she got broken was she had that 49-point game against, what was it, Michigan, her sophomore year.
Penn State, I think.
Or Penn State, whichever it was, which broke the Carver Hawkeye Arena record for women. and she's riding high. Everything was great. And then 2 games later, Caitlin breaks it. And I think that broke her.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yep.
I maybe I'm wrong, and if Hannah Stolke wants to come on here and tell me how stupid I am, fine. But I feel like that really, how demoralizing can that be to you as a, you've got the best player all time and you actually have a record that she doesn't have, and she goes out and takes it 2 games later. Not saying that Caitlin shouldn't have done that. I feel like that broke her, and she hadn't been the same player since then.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say? This is an opportunity going forward, though, that is where Journey Houston should be able to take that spot from Hannah, that 4 spot, that traditional 4 power forward, and live at that free throw line in a jump shot, a little 10 to 12 foot shot, maybe 15 at the farthest, and just sit out there and pick and pop just constantly. If she hits that, if she works on that, she could score 20 points a game. No doubt about it. And then when they come out to guard her on that 15-foot pick and pop, then Ava's wide open. She could hit her with a layup. It's just, there's opportunities there. I just think you have to be coached to the opportunities that are, could be there for you. And I think sometimes you try to go the easy route instead of going and learning to take that shot. Now, Journey Houston, I hope you're listening. I don't know if you are, and I hope Jan isn't, but she's probably not. That's where they need to live. Journey needs to live right there. Taylor Stremlow, drive and pop that little mid-range. That's going to open up things for the 3-point shooters later on in the games. If you go in, they give you the ball inside, you turn it, fake a shot, shoot it out, because they're going to start guarding you if you can hit it on a regular basis. Be consistent. That is right there. That is a part of the game, I think, in all of basketball that's kind of missing, is that little mid-range. I saw it so many times in the men that they do the same thing. They go into the mid-range. It looked like they're going to have an easy shot. And they kick it to a corner for a 3, and the guy misses it. And I'm like, you had the 2. That's a much more higher percentage shot than you had for the 3. But you give it up.
You've got to have something when the 3 is not falling. And let's be honest, in the last 3 games, the 3 was not falling for Iowa.
Not at all.
You needed something else other than Ava Hayden. She can't do it all. I mean, if you can't pop from the mid-range or anything like that, they'll just double and triple her and expect, here, go ahead and shoot that 3 that you can't make right now.
Yep.
That you have absolutely no confidence in making.
And I think that's what beat Iowa over, against Virginia, is that they packed the paint. Ava still got her points, but she's going to get her points. She's that good. But it's a matter of limiting her to the 24, 25, 26 points, and then nobody else is scoring, then you've got a good chance. But that's the thing. You pack the paint with her and limit her and leave everybody else open because you don't respect their outside shooting. There's your recipe for beating Iowa. And that's where they have to work in the offseason, is that mid-range. And I think, honestly, as a society, as the NCAA's, not only men's and women's, that is an art of the game that has been completely pushed out of the game. That is something that needs to be put back in. That little mid-range pop, that little 10 to 12 footer. And I think that there's an opportunity for someone to score a ton of points right there. And then they're not guarding it because they're so worried about that 3-point shot.
Well, we can talk more about threes and talk about this to ad nauseum, but they need to do
okay.
They need to shore some things up and hope that they don't have a whole lot of defense.
Let's really quickly talk about what they need to do going forward in order for them to be successful going forward. What do they need to look at? What do they need to go into the transfer portal? They need to get a backup point guard, for sure.
They need another big.
I think
it doesn't have to be a center.
So let's name our starting 5 for next season. Ava at the 5, Journey at the 4, Taylor Stremlow 3 or 2, Chit Chat at the 1. Now this is providing they all stay and nobody transfers. Addie at 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Or you move Addie to 3 and put Taylor at 2? Either one. I don't know if it really matters with 3-2 or 4. It's all.
I think you basically playing 3 guards and 2 bigs.
Yeah.
Or 2 low post presences.
We'll see.
You
what
don't worry about. I don't think the girls. When it comes to that, I don't think we worry too much about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's more of the 3 guard, 2 forward lineup, guard, 1 center. You know,
one of the things.
Journey's really not a low post player due to her size. She's 5'11",
but she's a really good rebounder.
Yes,
and that to me, if that's if that's what you do, be really good at it, and you can contribute that way. I'm fine with that. She's good for 12 points a game, maybe 10. I'm fine with that. But if you go out and get 12 to 13 rebounds a game with 26 to 30 minutes of playing time, I'm fine with that too. That will be successful. If you can be successful doing those things, that will help the team be successful. I don't know. The thing that bothers me more than anything about this whole thing is the way they bring the ball into the low post. How many times do you see them try to force the ball into the low post when it's not there? And that they did that a lot. And there were times when, you can sit there and watch that offhand girl that's not behind Ava Hayden. She's off to the side, and they go to throw that ball in, and she just jumps right in there and takes that ball away from Ava before she even has a chance to get to it. That happened more than once. It's like they were baiting the girls into throwing it in. And as soon as they did, it was immediately stolen, or they had Ava turned right around to a double team. They have to know when and how to get that ball in when she is in the correct position and using the technique that they need to, whether it be a bounce pass, whether it be an over the top. There is some times when they just flat don't value the ball when they go to throw that in there. It's just like, what are you doing there? She was nowhere near was open at all.
She does her work early, and you need to get the ball to her early.
Yeah.
If you have to wait, she's less effective because the double has the opportunity to get there.
Right. She grabs position early.
You can't just sit there. You can't come off the dribble and hold the ball looking and looking and looking.
Yeah.
For a count of 2 or 3 and expect to be able to get the ball. Because once you've done that, you've drawn the attention.
Yeah.
If you're going to go inside, you're going to get it picked.
You've just told them where you want to throw the ball. And it's bad enough that they actually do go ahead and try to throw the ball in, even if that has occurred. It's just, I don't know. Well, it's just something they need to work on. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Let's move on. Move on to the boys. They had the more surprise, I guess. Surprising, not so much shocking to me.
Yeah. I had them picked to beat Clemson. I think they were a 2.5 point favorite, or maybe 2 by the time game started. I don't think that was any real shocker to me that they beat Clemson. Clemson was without their best player. The first round of the tournament, everybody's got their nerves, and it's win and go home, win or go home. And they took care of business. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't a blowout, but they stayed ahead and finished the game off like they should. And then to turn around and to take Florida and the number 1 seed all the way to the wire and win the game on a 3-pointer by Alvaro Figueres with 4.5 seconds left, and then was able to keep them from taking a shot with those 4.5 seconds, shocked the world. Everybody was like, oh my God, look at Iowa. They just beat number 1 Florida, who had won the national championship the year before. I don't think anybody, to be honest, I thought they wouldn't. I even said on the podcast last time, I don't think they're going to win this one. Yeah.
You said this Sunday at lunch, this season ends today.
Yep. But hey, you know what? Sometimes surprises happen. They play the game on the court and not on the paper. So that's why that's why you play it. And they look good doing it. I thought they Florida number 1 rebounding team in the nation. And
one of the tallest lineups in the country.
Very tall. Had that 7'9" kid, which didn't play. I think he's kind of awkward.
They were the best 2-point field goal percentage defense in the country this year. And Iowa shot almost 60% against them, 70% against them too.
Yeah.
just absolutely obliterated that narrative, and it did it in a manner that most people probably didn't expect, which was taking it to them on the inside. They outplayed them in the paint. They tied them in rebounds, and when you talk about a team like Florida, who usually has about a, what do they have? I think their
15
average was a 15 plus rebound advantage.
Yep, that's right.
In reality, Iowa was 15 rebounds better than them.
That's right.
And then you matched what I think Iowa ended up 2 points up on points in the paint. So you punked them at their game.
Yep.
And you played against. You took it right to their strength and made it look like a weakness.
Yep.
And they did it to Clemson too, because Clemson one of the better rebounding teams as well. And I think Iowa out-rebounded them.
This appeared to me like the Big Ten prepared them physicality-wise, prepared them for what they were going to see in the NCAA tournament, and that's the kind of physicality that they did not see in the mid-major level. They did not see that at Drake or the Valley, like you said. That is not a physical league. That is a finesse league. It always has been, and it probably will be. There might be teams that try to use physicality, but the way they referee that league, it's more for a finesse type of style. But when you go to the Big Ten, they're allowed to bang. They're allowed to, be more handsy than anywhere else you'd go. And I think that prepared Iowa for the big dance. It did. And, and it prepared them to play Florida and to be more physical than Florida and push them around. I think Florida was taken back by that. They were like, oh, look, these guys, they were 9 seed. We're supposed to roll all over them. And they're pushing us around. They're beating us at our game. And I think that intimidated them a little bit. I think they were, like I said, taken aback by Iowa's physicality. And I think that's what ultimately was their demise. I mean, Iowa had hit a 3, very poorly played defense on that last situation where they were allegedly gonna foul and
which I think is the dumbest thing.
Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of an after the thought type of deal. Yeah, we were gonna foul. Okay, sure.
You guard the 3-point line and you make sure that they don't get off a 3, but you can live with them hitting a game tying to make, instead of going to the line and giving them 2 freebies. And you're not guaranteed that you don't get an offensive rebound off of that and still get a tip in.
Right. And that's an opportunity that a coach like Todd Golden, who won the national title the year before, should have known better than that. That was, to me, that was kind of like, I think he outsmarted himself. He tried something that he thought we wouldn't see or wouldn't expect, and he got burned. So, I mean, you move on, you're made the Sweet 16. You got, the old foe Nebraska. You've 1-1. You won, and each one of you have won on your home court. Iowa won 57-52 in Iowa City. Very defensive struggle. Then you go over to Lincoln at the end of the season, very last game of the Big Ten before the Big Ten tournament starts, and you take them to overtime before losing. Would they lose by 9?
84-75.
84-75-9. So, that game to me, I felt like the same way I felt like against Clemson. We've got a good chance here because we've played them twice. We played them to a 5-point game the first time and overtime the second time. I felt like we get them on a neutral court. I think this might go our way. Now, I wasn't going to put money on it. I'm not a betting man, but if I was forced to put money on it, I would have bet on Iowa on this one. And Nebraska led 85% of the game, 88% of the game, all of it 2 minutes,
37 minutes and 50 seconds.
They either tied or were ahead.
Yes.
Iowa hadn't.
I guess Iowa didn't have the lead. Iowa had the lead for 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah, Iowa took the lead with
2:10. 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yes, it is. All the 2 minutes and 10 seconds intervals inside that game, you want to be the last 2 minutes and 10. You want to lead. So, Alvaro Figueroa's a couple of massive dunks that was kind of nice to see. The 3-point shot. Tate Sage had one heck of a game for a freshman. I thought he was instrumental.
I did hear something following that game that Fred Hoiberg got a call for an endorsement deal from 5 guys. I did hear that.
I was wondering if you're going to bring that up or not. That vaunted 4-man defense just it let them down this time.
Yeah. Fearsome foursome.
Yeah. And here's another thing. I keep seeing on the internet, all these people talking about how it's the referee's responsibility to make sure that no, it's not. No, get that out of your head.
To tell you that there's 6.
Yes. If you've got 6, that would be a technical and they will stop the game for that. But if you only have 4 out there, that's on you. That's not their responsibility. And anybody that tells you different has no idea what they're talking about. So don't listen to them.
Jimmy Chitwood can tell you differently that 4 players can beat 5 in a state tournament game.
So yeah, anybody that says to you, it's the responsibility of the referee to make sure that they've got 5 players. No, it's
coach's
not.
responsibility.
It is not. And they screwed up and they got caught. You just
and Iowa took advantage of it.
They did. They saw it ahead of time and they threw the ball length of the court. And Iowa got a 3-point play out of the deal. I don't know what that defensive player was thinking. He should have just let him have it, but whatever, that's fine. It didn't end up hurting him in the end because Iowa won the game by 6, 77-71. And you played a really good game. You stayed with them all the way through and you finally took the lead at the end. You kind of forced them. They got tired. I think they weren't making their shots towards the end of the game. They missed a lot of threes. Iowa wasn't getting rebounds there towards the end, but yeah, you move on. You have exactly 48 hours pretty much to bask in what you're doing and getting into the Elite 8 before you have another conference foe you have to play in Illinois. Illinois had beaten Iowa in Iowa City earlier in the year. Was it 79-72,
75-69?
So, okay, 75-69. I at that point when I watched the Illinois Houston game and I thought to myself, I think I'd rather play Houston, but I guess either way at this point we're in the Elite 8. So whoever ends up being the opposite of us is fine. They're going to be good regardless. So
they're going to be ranked higher than us anyway.
Yep. And, I thought Iowa played really well. They come out against Illinois really on fire where they jumped out 12-2. Then they had that weird horn issue that I don't know what happened there, but I think that kind of, I don't know. Did that take a little bit of the momentum away from Iowa a little bit? Did that kind of stall things a little? I think Iowa really had Illinois on the ropes early. And then they had the issue with the horn. I'm not saying that that's what beat Iowa because, they were ahead 4 points at the half. Iowa was 32-28, playing pretty well. I think they just ran out of steam at the end and Illinois just took advantage of, Iowa's couldn't hit a shot towards the end. Well, I know the refereeing wasn't great, but
yeah, I did see something on, there was an article. I don't remember where it came from. As they were leaving Houston, 2 Illinois buses collided and they called a foul on Iowa.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's about the way it was. Cause, but you can't, I'm not going to use the excuse like Nebraska, everything on their message board was, Iowa got,
how can one team commit just one foul?
Yeah. One foul.
Well, when you take 5 shots inside the 3-point line in the second half, pretty easy to commit one foul.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go the route that they took. I'm going to just say, yeah, I think Illinois was the better team on that night anyway. So first time Iowa made the Elite 8 since 1987. I remember the game. We talked about it earlier. I remember them beating Oklahoma on a Kevin Gamble 3-point late in the game.
In overtime.
And that was one really a whale of a game. And for a long time we had that on tape, I think somewhere, but
I've got it.
You got it now? Okay.
93-91, I believe was the final.
I think that's right. You can watch it on YouTube if you pull it up. There's a lot of, I don't know if there's a full game or if it's the.
There is. That's where I got it.
Full game. Okay. So yeah, if anybody wants to watch that Elite 8 game with Oklahoma, and then the next.
No, that was the Sweet 16 game.
Sweet 16.
The Elite 8 game was against UNLV.
UNLV, and they had a 16-point lead at the half and got beat.
18.
84-81.
Yes.
And that was like Armand Gilliam and
Yeah, because UNLV ended up winning the national title that year with
mhm.
Tarkanian.
Yeah.
Iowa got them in the next year and get to the Sweet 16 to get to the Sweet 16 and beat them bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Knocked him out. But it's funny because we talked about who last time Iowa made the Sweet 16 before we ended up making the Elite Eight. That was 1999. Dr. Tom's lame duck year, his last year. And I remember that Iowa beat UAB by just 8 or 10. And then they beat Arkansas. Nolan Richardson's, they call it 40 minutes of hell or whatever it was. And they pretty much, they beat Arkansas bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that close. And then they had UConn, and UConn ended up winning the national title. Oddly, the next year, Iowa's new coach, Steve Alford, got to play UConn in the very first game of the season and ended up beating them. They were rated number 1 in the nation and ended up beating them in a tournament or a
yeah, it was a tournament, a classic out in like New York,
kind
or
of a classic, yeah. And Iowa beat them the next year. So, just some odd things in history that are kind of different. But this making the Elite Eight is the exactly what the momentum that Iowa needs to go forward. This was like a huge gift given to them. And I know they had to earn it. It wasn't a gift. They earned it. But what now needs to happen is Iowa, the coaching staff, Ben McCullum and Tyler Sash's brother, I forget what his first name is. They need to go out and Josh, right. Okay. Right. They need to go out and hit that transfer portal hard. And here's where they need to look. They need to look for a big low post, a quality athletic low post player. I don't care if he only gives you 5 to 7 points a game, but if he's an intimidator type and he's got somebody, he's guarding that lane and he's back and forth and he's got a kind of an intimidating look about him and he's got that physique that people just kind of, I'm not going in there.
One of those bigs.
Yeah. Just, and if you can get him to score 10 a game, wow, that's gravy. But that's what you need to go out and get. I'm sorry. And a point guard. Yes, you do need a point guard. I think Cale Combs will be all right, but you've got to have more than just him. He's going to need, he's not going to be a Bennett Sturts. He's not going to play 40 minutes.
I tell you what, though, and getting off of what you need and what you need to go out and look for, what you have in Tate Sage,
yes,
in
Cooper
Koch, from all indications, Trey Thompson, you've got a core of individuals that can go a long way. And I am fully on the Tate Sage bandwagon.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And have been for quite a while, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm back on the Cooper Koch bandwagon thinking, okay, this is the Cooper Koch that I was expecting. He had that. I had to step back and think about it for a minute too. Of this is truly his freshman year. He played 10 games last year before he had a collapsed lung. So do you really count a whole lot what happened? He played in a lot of games against low to mid-major opponents that you expect to beat. So does it really show you what you've got in a player? No. And you can kind of glean a little bit. You can see talent, but him showing what he went through that stage in a little bit in the Big Ten where he struggled, but it's kind of like it's that bump in the road that most every freshman gets that plays. I'm really good at the beginning of the year. I hit a bump in the middle of the year because it's the grind of it's a long season. You're getting beat up. You're getting used to the physicality of the conference play. Your first few conference games, first couple of conference games, you maybe are really pretty decent. Then you hit a stretch of about 5 or 6 where you just struggle. And he was able to get around that. And, once he got through that, the world is his playground at this point. Yeah. I think that's how good he can be.
Right.
He just needs to get a little bit more bulk. Because at 6'8", he should be able to bang down low with some guys. Rank Mast abused him like he was a rag doll. But again, we're talking a freshman and a 7th-year player there too.
Yep. Yeah.
So
it does. You talk about Tate Sage and Cooper Koch. They are definitely what you want to build your team around, without a doubt, with those young players. But there's things that obviously there's improvement to be made. I think physicality, building their body a little bit more. They're young. They will build their body. They'll get better that way. They'll get stronger. They'll be able to go in amongst the trees and be successful.
Does Tate Sage already appear like he already has a Big Ten body?
Well, he does, but I think can even improve more.
Well, yeah.
I mean, 19 points against Nebraska. That is huge for him as a freshman.
That kid is built like junior year Chris Kingsbury. Remember how Kingsbury's shoulders were broad? He was
massive, boy. He's just
that's
huge.
What this kid's built like.
Yeah.
And
well,
I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you need. You need Big Ten players. You need Big Ten bodies. You can't, and I'm probably going to say something that's going to be upsetting to some people. And I want to say this and preface this with the utmost respect. And I think this kid is a great kid. I think he was brought in to fill roster and played quite a bit. But in my opinion, Cam Manio is not a Big Ten player. He is not a Big Ten player. And I'll give you some stats. Against Illinois, he had 4 points, 5 rebounds. Against Nebraska, 0 points, 1 rebound. Florida, 6 points, 4 rebounds. He didn't play much against Nebraska. I get it. Versus Clemson, 1 point, but he had 10 rebounds. So that was good. I don't have a problem with 10 rebounds. But as the season went by, he was a starter, 6 points. Here's where he let Iowa down in places. 57.5% free throw shooter. You cannot do that. What was it? One of the games, was it Wisconsin? No. Ohio State. Somebody just intentionally fouled him because they knew he couldn't shoot free throws. And it's just extremely unfortunate. 4.6 rebounds. He's undersized at 6'9". He's weighted. He's not heavy. He's 250. He is a mid-major player playing in the Big Ten. Now, Bennett Sturtz was a Big Ten player that played in mid-majors. So there's a difference. He's a great kid. I'm sure he's a great kid and he's a smart kid. And I could be friends with the kid, but I have to be honest and say, I don't think he's Big Ten material.
He's not a starter. Now, I think he could be a very good complementary role piece off of the bench but they've got to have somebody. They didn't have anybody of any size that could bang down low other than Trevin Urach. And he's a freshman who just, he's just out of high school.
Yeah.
He's not even built his body yet. He's 6'10", but he's a high school 6'10". He's not a Big Ten 6'10".
Right.
There's a difference. I mean, people are going to say, well, 6'10", and 6'10", 250 is you can have, I could be 6'10" and 250, but if I'm not 250 in the right places, what good does it do?
Yeah, you're going to get.
And I think he needs to reinvent his body, but I think he will be good. I think he's got the opportunity and I think it'll take till probably about his junior year before he really takes that major step. He'll be a better player next year than he was this year, clearly. But I think by the time he's a junior, you'll see that's when he'll take his most significant step. It'll be I might be a 4.5, 5 point per game guy, role player off the bench. I get 10 to 12 minutes a game, to junior year where he's getting 20 to 25 and he's averaging 12.
Yeah.
If you take that, if you could get one player that can average 18 and 3 players or 3 of your other 4 players that can average between 8 and 12, you'd take that in any day.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting your bench.
Right.
So
their
future's bright.
There is a huge opportunity for Iowa here. They hang that Elite 8 banner in Carver Hawkeye, and they bring in recruits, kids that transfers that wouldn't even look at Iowa, but now all of a sudden say, oh, they were in the Elite 8. I think I'm going to take a look. I'm going to listen to what Ben McCollum has to say, where I wouldn't have before, because I didn't know the guy, and I didn't hear Iowa ever being any good. So now you're in an Elite Eight team. You have that. They have to grab this opportunity and really run with it. They can't be hesitant with this. If they've got a kid that wants to come to Iowa, or he needs to get a little bit extra, pay him the extra. If he's a good fit and he's a good kid and wants to play defense and he wants to play for Iowa and be the type of player that Iowa needs to have, because they need a center. They need a solid athletic center that's got some athletic ability and some skills, because right now that's where they're lacking. And that is obvious yesterday when they played Illinois. They were abused inside by Illinois. And that's where Iowa is lacking, just flat lacking.
And that's that's a matter of, 2.5 months to put a roster together and having no real funds and no identity yet.
No,
having an identity and having that Elite Eight, saying, this guy took a bunch of Division II and mid-major guys and took them to the Elite Eight.
Yeah. Imagine what he can do with actual Big Ten players.
Yeah, and that's no slight to the players that are there, because those guys, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
That they would be high, they'd be starters on mid-majors any day, question. All of them.
Right.
So
I just think that Ben has that opportunity sitting in front of him, and he just needs to grow with it. He needs to go to Beth and say, hey, I don't know what we need to do with NIL, but we need to grab this golden opportunity that's sitting in front of us before it's gone, and get in the type of players that we need to compete in the Big Ten and beyond, which we are now. But I think that was kind of a flash in the pan type of thing. I don't think you take that same team next year, and I don't think you're going to make the Elite Eight. That just happened to be, you got some really good draws. I think Florida was the weakest of the number 1 seeds. You caught them on a bad night, and you were able to move forward. That is what the Big Ten, or that's what the NCAA tournament is in March Madness, is you catch somebody on a bad night, you advance, they go home. And that's exactly what happened to Iowa. They got a good draw all the way around, and things happened to work out the way they needed them to, and they were able to make the Elite Eight. That is people shouldn't underestimate what that really means, because that is huge. Final Four, yes, that would be, that's the up here. The Elite Eight right here, everything else is down here. That is a huge opportunity that you have to now you've got name recognition with people that you didn't have before. You've got talking heads on the TBS that were talking about Ben McCollum being a coach that is smart, understands the game. Why wouldn't you want to go play for somebody that knows how to coach you? These are opportunities that we haven't seen in a long time, and they need to run with them, and run with them hard, and take advantage of every opportunity that they are given. I mean, this is like, you got to be intense. Go out there and really work with this before it's gone.
Here's something to think about, and then we'll move on from this. From everything that I've heard, he's going to have about twice the NIL budget this coming season than he had coming in. Now, he had to take that entire budget from his NIL to build an entire team. He needs to put in about 3 pieces, maybe 4, with double the amount of money that he had to begin with.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good scenario to be in.
Well,
coming off of an Elite Eight.
But also, you're going to have to pay the kids that that became stars that were lower paid. You weren't probably giving Tate Sage too. Yeah, but you probably weren't giving Tate Sage all that much money as a freshman coming in. Well, now he's proven that he can play at this level. He may say, hey, I need a little more money, or I'm going to start looking around. I may hit the transfer portal, coach. I need to get, you're going to have to cough up some more cash.
I don't think he's quite in a position to do that yet. But.
Yeah, maybe not. But, those are things that go through kids' minds. It's, I just went out and scored 19 in the Sweet 16. We made the Elite Eight because I scored 19 points. And now
what'd you do the next game?
Well, I mean, he still had a nice game against Illinois. I didn't think he had a bad game. He didn't play as much. Yeah, you're just going to have to, I thought I saw Iowa, and I don't know if these are true things or not, but I saw Iowa had like a $6.4 million budget, or what they were paying this year. And that was about half of what Duke was paying. even if you
BYU is at
add
like 20 million.
even if you add 3 million to that, and if you're up around 9, you're still in out of the Sweet 16 that they showed the revenue, or not the revenue, but the NIL numbers. You're still in you're in the top 6 or 7. So, but every year things, prices go up, things go up, and your budget has to go up along with it. And maybe 6.4 million doesn't buy you as much as 9 million does the next year, or the 9 million doesn't buy you as much as the 6 million.
He's got some clout now that he could sell. And
absolutely.
I think you're starting to see it, because I see there's a 2027 kid that's now looking to visit Iowa. A couple players that said, I've already made this visit, but I really want to go to such and such in Iowa.
Yeah. You've got to capitalize on this name recognition and what you've done.
This is like Kirk Ferentz's 2002 year. Need to capitalize on it. They did. It didn't pan out as well, because a lot of those 5-star kids that they ended up getting in that class of 2004 weren't as good as they thought they were, or just didn't work out as well. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a little bit different basketball. It's a little easier, when you're talking guys, you could see what they can do as far as that. But when you're talking like offensive linemen, a little more difficult to, they could fall from what you thought they were. Basketball is a little different. Yeah. So, strike while the iron's hot. I think, this time, 3 months from now, we could talk about how, hey, I think Iowa is a top 15 team this year going into the season with this roster.
Yeah. Replacing Bennett Sturts is going to be very difficult to do, but I think next year, instead of you relying on one person to score a majority of your points, I think you're looking at an entire team scoring. And I think that's going to be better than having to depend on one guy. And that's where they did this year. And don't get me wrong, he's a great player. Love the kid. He's a Hawkeye for life. And I have utmost respect for his game. And the way he played yesterday was phenomenal. But you're going to see a dynamic of this team be completely different next year. They're going to be more, they're going to spread the points around a lot better than they did.
Might be a better team overall.
Right. As long as, we can keep the young talent that we've got, Sage and Cooper Koch, and I think Isaiah Howard gets in the gymnasium and pops about 200 threes a day. And
Cale Combs could do that.
Can do that. Get in there, and then because I just didn't have any confidence in Isaiah Howard's 3-point shot. I'm sorry, you're a great kid, I'm sure, but
shooter.
That you need to get that up. You need to get that up. I would be fine with you up around 38, 39%. Even 40 would be better.
Fantastic spark plug kind of guy that comes in. Really good defender. A good on-ball defender. Not so much what he was forced to do a few times, where he had to play the low post or the low block and defend against a guy that was 10 inches taller than him. But from a guard standpoint, from the 1, 2, and the 3, he could defend any one of those guys.
That is a good point you made. This is a team this year that played something that Iowa fans just aren't used to, and that's defense. And they played defense. And as they get older and wiser and they've seen more things, they will play even better defense.
Yep.
And that is encouraging to me, to know that if you're not making shots, you can rely on your defense to keep the other team from making shots, and you may be able to eke one out when you're not shooting your best. That's just common sense. But this is something we hadn't seen. And Fran McCaffrey, he made the tournament this year. They got beat in the first round, obviously, because they're a smaller school. I wouldn't expected them to. They got beat by the same team we got beat by, Illinois. So
problem is they got beat by 34, and we did.
We got beat by 12. So,
but speaking of defense, let's move on from the basketball, and let's talk a little bit about the fact that we have spring football practice starting.
Yep.
And defense is always a key word around Iowa when it comes to spring football practice. So, not anything that I've heard coming out of practice. I've seen a couple of videos of some long passes to, I know I saw one to Tony Diaz. I think that was the one from Hank Brown. And then there was a pick to Lutmer, I believe it was picked it off. And then there was another video of some of the running backs, but not anything earth shattering, you know, and obviously we won't know a whole lot until we get a chance to see him in the spring practice on April 25th at 11 o'clock at Kinnick.
Yeah.
Nice shameful plug. We are going to that. That will be our next podcast after this one. We will do a podcast after the spring practice, bring a report from that, and then we'll take a little bit of a break for the summer. We got a lot of things going on this summer. I got trips coming up too. And we'll get back at it here and just about the time Big Ten Media Day happens and fall camp and really be full blast into it. Unless something pops up that, you know, major news, you know, Kirk Ferentz retires or Ben McCollum for some reason decides to bolt to go to Kansas or North Carolina, which I think that's arrogant on their part. But
I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, well, this is the guy we want. We're just going to write it. We're just going to call him and he'll accept. I think you're crazy. He's an Iowa guy through and through.
Yeah.
But barring something like that, we're going to take a little bit of a break and have a little bit of a summer this time.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot that happens in Hawkeye sports in the summer, and it does tend to get a little bit of redundancy of trying to find things to talk about. You know, maybe we do something in July as a primer, do like hey, we're going to talk about the schedule or something for the upcoming football season, but then we really jump into it once the fall camp starts.
There's a really easy way to not miss if we would happen to come in with something breaking news or something that we decide to do a podcast on that is kind of unexpected. You hit that little icon down there, as a little bell, and that will alert you to it would notify you of any podcast that we would have put out. That way you don't miss it. That's something you can do. And you can subscribe and
yeah, you know, let's check on our Facebook page as well. We'll post it on there as well. Twitter and Spotify, we put those out there as well. So yeah, you'll get notified as long as you click that notification button. You get notified for anything new. But as of right now, we're just planning on the one probably the 26th of April, and then we'll wait again until probably sometime in July.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of things going on this summer for both of us.
So, well, that's all I've got for now. Anything for you?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody listening and appreciate the people who have subscribed and enjoy the podcast. And just know that we will be back. We're just taking a slight little break to rest, recharge, get a few things done, and we'll be back at it when the majority of the money sports at Iowa start back up.
Yeah.
With that, I want to say thanks to the Hawkeye men's basketball team for an enjoyable season. It was fun to watch. It was one of those where I truly did get invested and watch throughout the year. As last year was kind of difficult at times to, you know, very, very few games did I ever turn off this year. Let's put it that way. And look forward to what they can do and look forward to the spring practice. So with that, we'll give it a go Hawks and get out of here.
Go Hawks.
All right. Go Hawks.